for Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, the 49ers need him to cooperate with their plan for disengaging, which consists of apparently sitting and waiting and hoping that some quarterback playing for another team gets injured and is out for the year, and that team wants Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's John Lynch, GM of the 49ers, talking about the question of whether Jimmy Garoppolo has tried to bring this to a head now and requested his release sooner rather than later.
He hasn't had that. I think we've had multiple discussions, and I do believe that, when he left, we've never had, Jimmy, when he gets out of here, he's out of here. So it wasn't like we had ongoing conversations, but we spoke when he left, and, we had a pretty good understanding of what was going on. And, because of the surgery and the ramifications of that in other teams' eyes, nothing's transpired as of yet, but he's here, he's reported. We'll see what happens in the physical, and we'll move forward, accordingly.
He's cleared to practice, but he does have a throwing program that, like all guys do when they get elbow or shoulder surgery, anything with your arm, there's a protocol on how you build them up so they don't re-aggravate that. And he'll be doing that on the side and things. We don't plan on practicing him with the team and things like that. And we'll take it day by day and constantly talk with them and hopefully can figure out the best for both. It made it a lot harder with the surgery. I think that's why everyone knows the situation we're in. And we understand that, so we're not trying to kid ourselves or play any game. I think the whole league understands that. But you also can't just give one of the better quarterbacks in the league, just make him available for no reason to the whole world. So, and the good thing is you can have those conversations with Jimmy, and he understands that too. So we're going to try to do the best for both sides. But there's things we got to work through.
See, there is the potential for awkwardness here if Garoppolo starts agitating for finality, because they will cut him if they can't trade him. They're not going to keep him on the Week 1 roster.
No.
That is now known. And that was my concern all along for Jimmy G. You sit there and you wait for an opportunity for the 49ers to trade you, and he's going to have a voice in this because no one's just going to take on his $25 million salary unless somebody does lose a starting quarterback and panic and give the 49ers what they want and not try to squeeze Jimmy G to take less. He's going to find himself come early September with no job, no prospects, and he's going to be starting from scratch. He's not going to be ready. This is going to be a wasted year for him potentially.
Could be.
If he doesn't get traded and he gets dropped onto free agency as everybody else is getting ready to go forward with the season.
Yeah, no, I know. That's right. I mean, it's going to be hard for him certainly to find a spot and say, oh, you're going to be the starter. That's almost, I think, impossible at this point. They're going to have him there. Shanahan says, we're not going to give away one of the better quarterbacks in the league just for nothing. But ultimately, I think that's just what has to happen. I mean, again, I think it's going to take something, miraculous. And I mean that in a way of like some unforeseen circumstance with another team in the quarterback situation for that to happen. Other than that, I'm with you, Mike. It's probably going to give him mid to late August. They're finally going to cut him and realize, okay, let's just get it over with. And, yeah, he's not going to have enough time to go somewhere and be a starter. It's going to be one of those where a team's going to go, okay, maybe it's the Texans again. We got Davis Mills. We think he can be good, but let's bring in Garoppolo just in case it doesn't go the way we think. Okay, maybe by week 4 or 5, Garoppolo, if Davis Mills isn't playing well, we can bring him off the bench and he'll save the day. I feel like that's where it's going to go. He's got to pick one of those spots, kind of be choosy and go, this might fall apart at some point. Let me go to that spot. I could see that being a possibility.
And some would react to this entire discussion and say, wait a minute, if nobody wanted Jimmy Garoppolo all along, why do they suddenly want him now, barring some sort of catastrophic injury situation? There's a difference now, though. The 49ers have dropped the facade of thinking they're going to get a second-round pick or more from Jimmy Garoppolo. It is full-blown fire sale time. So if you're a team that would have been interested in Jimmy Garoppolo in March, but we're not going to give up what the 49ers wanted and still may have interest, now's the time to just make an offer. This is or best offer time for the 49ers. They don't have a price. They just want something. They don't want to give him away. They don't want to cut him. And if they cut him, they have to worry about him going to Seattle. I don't know how worried they really are about that because I don't know that Seattle would be interested. But they may be able to get something. I said the ceiling is a 5th-round pick because that's what Baker Mayfield generated for the Browns. But this is the time, if you've been avoiding contacting the 49ers about Jimmy Garoppolo because there's no way in hell you're going to give them a second-round pick, now's the time where you just make an offer. Conditional 7th rounder. I don't know. Just make any offer because maybe you'll get him, because maybe they'll take what they can get. And Jimmy Garoppolo will do a reasonable restructuring of his contract now because he'd rather land somewhere else now than wait until September. So there is an opening.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a possibility. Somebody who has been waiting, head low, mouth shut, can just pop up now and say, how about a 6th-round pick? And they get a deal done.
I know. The thing is like you look at it and go, who are those teams? Who's going to do that? Like, who is somebody out there that's going to, make that move? Because he is also one of those guys that, hey, we have our starter, but maybe he's young. We don't want to have Jimmy Garoppolo behind him, right? So some of those teams might not be involved. That's just where, I'm just kind of free thinking here. I wonder who's going to make a play or want him at this point. A team that I've brought up is Detroit a lot. Like, if I'm Detroit, I'm bringing Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not trusting Jared Goff to go through the whole year. If he struggles out of the gate, boom, I'm pulling the trigger on that, getting him out, and we're going to start to build something with Jimmy Garoppolo in Detroit. I see the Houston Texans, certainly, but after that, you brought up Seattle. I'm not sure exactly, where it is because, like you said, too, the table is set in so many different places that it's hard to kind of figure. I thought Miami would Mike McDaniel, but they do have Teddy Bridgewater. There's not that. That's not going to happen. So that's the hard place. Is the where to place him is the hard thing to figure out.
Well, Atlanta makes sense.
I know. Yep.
If they're not in full season tank mode, right? Because, see, some of these teams may be wanting to let nature take its course. I think Jimmy Garoppolo could make a 4-win team into a 9-win team, but maybe the team that's on track to be a 4-win team is content to be a 4-win team because they hope to get their franchise quarterback in next year's draft. I was on yesterday with our good buddy Chris Mad Dog Russo, new Radio Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And he and I were talking about this, and I'm reluctant to even mention Miami because I got enough to worry about without Tuanon being up our butts. But Miami does make sense. I mean, if we're going to do the basic analysis of which guy is better, Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Tua, and he knows the offense. He could walk right through the door. And you're right. It's not like you can add Jimmy Garoppolo to the quarterback room, but you give Tua a chance in training camp. And see, the problem is they're all so focused on building up Tua that they're never going to say he stinks. George Kittle, if he stunk, I'd tell you. They're not going to tell us if he stinks. They're going to keep trying to make chicken salad. And you just wonder behind the scenes if Mike McDaniel is saying, I got a guy that can make us into that playoff team. I got a guy. I know him. He can run this offense. We wouldn't be going through any of this stuff.
I know.
Get the ball to Tyreek Hill.
I know.
Do all the stuff in the running game. I got a guy. And then we got Teddy Bridgewater to back him up if he gets injured. Tuanon, I'm sorry. Chris, am I wrong? Is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Tua right now?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm taking Jimmy Garoppolo for sure, 100%. There's no doubt about that. You're right. But I just think, to your point, they're too far in. They're too deep in. They're going to try to make it work to where I don't think they want to make things, confusing in that way for their football team, a little like with the 49ers. They want to frame it around Tua, just like the Niners want to do Trey Lance. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. And as I just sit here, I'm just continuing to think about this going, yeah. So if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you're not going to have a real chance. What do you do next? You try to, I guess, go to a team where you think, wait, if I do play, they're going to set me up and put me in a good spot, right? I mean, that's the next thing I think about. I'm trying to just kind of put myself in his shoes here. And teams that, I look at, like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a team, if he's willing to go, wait, I know I'm not going to be the starter, but Dak Prescott, he's been injured and he can play a physical brand of football. And if I do get on the field there, they got some talent on offense to where I can look the way I need to look to be a starter the next year. Those are the situations he has to look at. Because I'm on the Dallas Cowboys, and you're Jerry Jones, who wants to win a Super Bowl, and he wouldn't have Mike McCarthy, if he didn't think he can lead him there. Well, let me just tell you, if your quarterback gets hurt, Will Grier and DiNucci aren't taking you there. I could just tell you that much right now. And that's where maybe he needs to find one of those type of teams, Mike, that we need to dig into a little bit.
We have to break, but I have to say this before we go. Back to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Prime example of team that made a mistake, instead of acknowledging the mistake, doubling down. Instead of saying, we just got it wrong with Tua, we should have taken Justin Herbert, they're doubling down. They're going all in, even though they've already seen enough, I think, to know that Tua isn't the guy that he was supposed to be. I believe that. I'm sorry.
No,
you can
definitely.
call me a Tua hater if you want. Clip the video.
Part of the reason Brian Flores ain't there. Definitely.
But there's two types of teams in the NFL. There's teams that acknowledge their mistakes and move on to something better, or there's the teams that are so stubborn and so dysfunctional about refusing to admit that they made a mistake that they do exactly what the Dolphins are doing with Tua, that they're going all in on a losing hand because they don't want to admit that they have a losing hand.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.